Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Kay, otherwise known as Space Tomato. I'm joined here with Drazen, you guys know well from the community. And this is a new podcast that I'm starting to talk a little bit more about some of the other games that I'm interested, some sci-fi gaming stuff like that, and to just kind of learn more universes, more, whether that be Star Citizen, Star Wars, Halo, take a look at all the different fictions that are out there because I personally don't actually know as much as I like to think I do. So, starting this podcast is sort of a way to just talk about that stuff, bring on some guests, maybe have some solo sessions, and just sort of discuss with you guys the things that are interesting to the community, to the industry, and to me and my guests together. So, without further ado, Drazen, if you'd like to introduce yourself, how you might have ended up on this podcast, and what you think you'd like to talk about today.
Well, it all started when I subscribed to Star Citizen. No, it about August September last year. I found your stream whenever we were part of our old org and decided to hop in. Hung around for a month and wanted to see if I could help, and that got me eventually to where I am today. Is currently the sole moderator and purveyor of fine tomato goodness to assist you and help you out and helping the community out as well.
A lot
It's
of
been
tomato
awesome.
goodness out there.
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah,
They've been around for about 9 months now and going on a year here soon. It's been great. It's been awesome.
yeah, yeah. So, I guess let's start with the obvious today. And as you guys can see, obviously it's a new podcast. It's episode one. We didn't even have an intro, so we're gonna be getting up to speed and like learning how this works and getting this done. Obviously, there is a chat window here that's not needed. So you'll see a couple changes in the next couple of episodes, but we'll fine tune it in. But let's start with the obvious. Sorry about that. Star Citizen. So today's actually a big day for Star Citizen. Invictus Week is starting, and they released a mighty fine trailer. I don't know if you saw that, but that was a good video. They're
It was
better.
awesome.
So you might say they're better at their videos than their games sometimes.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree. They could make movies and probably make as much money as they do selling ships.
Yeah. Well, Chris Roberts always wanted to be a director.
Hmm.
Um, they released a new ship. We got the RSI Scorpius as a new RSI ship. I don't actually like RSI ships that much. I kind of the Mantis is cool to me, um, mainly because of the shape. But like the Constellation, I think is kind of ugly. It's a little too long and skinny for me. The Apollo is cool again in terms of design, but as a ship itself, I'm not a huge fan. But this one, the Mantis, I like it. This could be one of my new favorites.
Yeah, and we were talking about it a couple days ago, how you kind of feel RSI is like the Drake Interplanetary of all the other companies, where, they might not be, they're more civilian oriented, they're not as military, even though they have majority of the large military ships. They definitely have their own kind of design language that's set apart from, the Aegises
Yeah.
and the Anvils out there.
Yeah, yeah. RSI is. I like to say that they're the utilitarian but cleaner brother to Drake. They're. I think they're two similar ships. I included them on that YouTube video, and I usually talk about them together. But yeah, RSI is kind of their stuff's a little. I don't want to say basic, um, but I guess utilitarian is a good word for it. But this
Hmm.
ship takes that style and applies it to, a popular shape in sci-fi and one that's known well, one that
Hmm.
is hard to make look original. But I think they do a pretty decent job of making the shape look, you know, unique. The three ships that come to mind when I look at it are the obviously the X-wing. There was the ship that everybody keeps talking about. I think it's called the Star Fury or something like that. The Star Fury Heavy from some other game, and then my favorite, the R Wing from Star Fox. And while all those ships have the same general shapes and a lot of the same design elements, like they all look unique for their own games and lore. And I think they did a pretty good job of making that ship look RSI. There's a couple things in it though, like the missile launcher looks kind of like the one in the Nomad,
Mhm.
but that just makes me think that missile launcher designs are universal for each company. You know, like a missile rack would look the same for every company. Maybe missile integration into the hull also looks the same. I don't know, but overall, I think the ship is a pretty solid design. I'll be interested to see what it does in the game. I'm not a combat guy, but I think I'm more excited for the lore it adds, honestly.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I can't imagine what the design team for anything RSI. I mean, that carries Chris Roberts' name with it, so you know that RSI has to hold a special place in his heart.
yeah,
So I can only imagine the pressure that they're always under to develop those ships. And actually, I'm gonna correct you a little bit.
okay,
The ship actually looks like the U-wing, not the X-wing, and I'll give credit to AstroPub for pointing that one out. But
okay.
yeah, it
I
it
don't know my
draws from
wings very well,
you don't
so
know your wings.
need some help,
But
Dylan.
it definitely draws from a lot of other sci-fi, games and things out there.
Mm,
But it does. It's a very iconic style now for Star Citizen because it's giving, a very, you know, people see the design a lot, and now we're finally getting that in our game. So we have a claim to it, just as other,
yeah,
bigger
yeah.
bigger games out there have claim
and
to it now.
and I didn't really think about how that was like a thing, and maybe it's not. Maybe
Hmm.
the community's just making it a thing. But the idea that every fiction has its own iconic version, like if there's an iconic design that every game or fiction has, then Star Citizen has to have their own version of it. And I don't really know what all of the big ships like that are. A lot of them are in Star Wars, things like the Millennium Falcon or the X-wing. But I kind of wonder myself, like, okay, so what other ships are there out there that we could look at and be like, they're gonna take inspiration from that and make a ship like that? Because to be honest, if that's the case, I'd love to point them towards Prometheus. I
Oh yeah.
freaking love the design of that ship.
Well, think about it. I mean, the MSR, I mean, when that came out, people were saying that's going to kind of be like the Star Citizens version of the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah,
So I
and
think you could
even the
trace back
company
to
said
the
that. Yeah,
exactly, yeah, and that's tracing it back to then. From then to now, we're starting to see them maybe borrow some design cues from other things like that, which I hope it's a good start. But yeah, point them at Prometheus, point them at Halo.
Oh God, yeah. Let's get a Pelican, right? I guess that's the Valkyrie. The
Absolutely.
Valkyrie's pretty spot on for
Actually, the
that.
Redeemer, I would say, because if they ever have that back portion of the Redeemer able to lift, a vehicle up on it, ooh,
Yeah,
that'd
but
be awesome.
imagine the Pelican going again up against the Redeemer in a fight. That thing would get
Ooh.
toasted.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That would not be fun. But yeah,
Hmm.
I actually uh yeah, I didn't even think about Halo. That would be very cool too to have some of that stuff. So yeah, that's some people would say not only are they stealing design cues or borrowing design cues or taking inspiration from them, but people would say they're literally stealing designs. I remember when the Vulture came out with the Eve crowd was not happy. But the weird part is that that ship is designed to look like another part of the another vehicle in that company. So it's just I think it happens a lot more than you might expect.
Absolutely. No,
But
I
I think
agree.
if they make it look original enough, it's cool.
Mhm.
Um, let's talk briefly because it's a sad topic. Let's talk briefly about the delays that we're seeing, which
Yeah.
is a lot. Last the
Hmm.
last this last week, 10 out of 17 features got delayed from the next update, I think. Something like that.
Hmm.
Something
Sounds about right.
painful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I was just saying in a video recently that uh 2018, 2019 had a lot of delays and we were kind of getting away from that. And year after year they've reiterated to us that they're becoming more conservative in their estimates and that, they're going to have they're going to be closer to what they're putting on the roadmap. And while we should not look at the roadmap and take it as law or even as close to law, it's not great I don't want to say it's not great for them because I don't know what actually happened. Apparently, there was a delay on a single team. I believe it was a player, the actor feature team, maybe, or the player tech team. There was a delay with that team due to being low on staff, whether that was sickness or vacation. I don't really know, but because of the delays there, they cascaded down to different teams. With the way the different features work together. Obviously, one delay causes another to compound, and it caused a bunch of problems. My main issue though is that it was all caught at the same time. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to, because we're already 2 months into the cycle. It'd be nice to know that things were starting to get cut instead of doing it all at once. That kind of sucks, but it happens.
Yeah, and we had heard, rumors, of course, that, the Ninetales lockdown event was, had gone through its testing, gamut and was kind of, maybe possibly being prepared for release. And then, no, it's not happening in, 314. And I had said, that's kind of strange. What if they were maybe pushing out Ninetales due to maybe a lackluster 314 or future patch, and everybody shut that down. Like,
The
no, they weren't
conspiracy
going to do it
theorist over
anyway.
here, huh?
But then, I mean, hey, that was such a on the nose call. I don't have any insider information, but who
I'm
knows?
I still I don't know. I can't, like, I just can't imagine they would have planned to do the Free Fly Week, the Invictus Fleet Week with a bangle and a javelin flying around, and the Ninetales lockdown all at the same time. Is the idea, from what we know, is the idea to have the UEE Navy there? Were they already expected to be there? Because that's a ton of stuff going on. They
Well,
don't
maybe
have
not
the
at the
best
same
track
time.
record for
Hmm.
running a
Maybe
lot of things at the same time.
True, and maybe not at the same time. Maybe like later in 313 kind of thing,
Hmm.
like as a follow up to Fleet Week, as before 314 comes, let's get people back and interested into the game to continue that cycle. Because you see an uptick in players when a
Hmm.
new patch drops, will keep that high ridden from, okay, we're coming off of Fleet Week. Okay, now we're gonna have the Ninetales lockdown a couple weeks after,
Mm.
and
Yep.
then now we're gonna go into PTU for 314.
Yeah. And then it kind of, it works with your theory because now, I mean, I guess this is literally what you were saying. Now there's not as much in 314 to keep people playing, so let's push this back to keep a couple more incentives to stay in the game longer. I don't know. It's an interesting conspiracy theory, but
And you
um
wonder how long they knew that things were going to get pushed back.
yeah,
Like maybe things that they had done weeks ago were in response to them knowing they were, hey, we're going to need to start pushing some stuff.
the
Who
people
knows?
are talking. The people are whispering. Whispers
Oh,
and murmurs.
absolutely. Hmm.
All right, well, that's enough Star Citizen talk. Let's move on to another fun game that I like to play. It's one of the only games I get time to play. Thanks, Star Citizen. Halo.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Got a spot in my heart. Halo is a
Hmm.
an old favorite. I've been playing Halo as long as I've been, I guess not as long as I've been playing video games. I started in the 90s, but as long as I've been playing on consoles regularly, at least. I started on the Xbox freaking 2002, I think it was, with Halo. Just ever since, been going. Um, but yeah, now it's on PC, and PC apparently just passed 10 million players.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
so awesome to hear.
yeah.
Yeah, I started back with Halo 2 as a kid. I'm a little bit younger than you, of course, so my gaming time was around Halo 2 release and Halo 3 especially. But yeah, Halo has a very special place in my heart as well. We play it all the time.
Yep.
It's just a
Yeah.
great game.
Wouldn't
So
say
much
all the time.
nostalgia.
Make people think I'm not working.
Mm. Yeah, okay,
We,
maybe
we,
not
we
all the
whenever I can, I try to sneak a couple games in, but
time.
um yeah, no, that's definitely like, if you wanted to jump into the garden and have a game to play, and like, if you ever wanted to catch me in an off time, I have a couple 20 minutes or something like that, just ask for a game of Halo. It'll most likely happen.
Oh
Um
yeah.
yeah, and Halo's, it's getting it kind of got to the point where people, at least I had some friends who were saying it died. I never thought it died. I thought it was not doing well for a little while, especially with the Halo 4 multiplayer and the Halo 5 campaign, which I think were the low points. Uh, with MCC starting to kind of pick up the slack after its introduction, getting better on PC, it's getting like console people over to PC more. It's bridging a lot of crossplay because there's a ton of people who play that game still, and being able to play the whole trilogy with your friends is awesome. Hype's been building, man, and now Halo Infinite is supposedly coming out this year. We've got an E3 appearance most likely in a couple of weeks. What are you excited for Infinite, dude? What are you thinking of it?
No, I think Infinite's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be, a lot like MCC was. 343 seems to be following a common method of they're going to release something and it's going to be good. It's not going to be great, And of course, I hate saying that because it's Halo,
Hmm.
but I think Infinite's going to be good on release. The campaign's going to be awesome. I hope. I think multiplayer will be good. But I believe once we get to like 6, 9, maybe 12 months after release, it's going to start getting great. It's going to be a lot like MCC where they really start to add features and things and really delve deep into it and essentially kind of do it as a game as a service almost, where they start adding things, they start listening to the community to see what they want, and doing great things like that. That's how I see it going, at least if I speculate.
You mentioned their games as a service.
Hmm.
I think one of the biggest changes in this game and the whole series, possibly the biggest change, is that the multiplayer is going to be for free.
Hmm.
A lot of people, when you say that, at least people who play video games a lot, when you say that, they're like,
Hmm.
wait, did you say Halo? Like, why would
Uh-huh.
Halo be free?
Hmm.
Um, does that kind of worry you? Because like, how are they going to monetize? We've
Hmm.
had a lot of drama, right, in the past with,
Hmm.
especially I think Halo 4. No, I think it was Halo 5. There was a lot of drama with Halo 5, the rec packs,
Hmm.
how that worked, and how people they how it kind of pushed you to spend money. You think
Hmm.
that's gonna be an issue with Infinite, especially with the new industry?
I think they're gonna have to find a way to monetize the free multiplayer. I whether that be a battle pass that if they decide to take the Call of Duty route. I think a lot of games are doing it. They're doing the free to play with some features that you can buy stuff with. If they just keep it skins and cosmetics, it'll be fine, which I firmly believe they'll do.
Hmm.
As well as the free multiplayer, it's kind of ties into the battle royale thing of we're seeing all these AAA titles add some battle royale feature to their game. You know, is it bowing to the masses or is it just appealing to a broad audience to maybe pull people who aren't interested in Halo into it because of the battle royale feature? It's a different take on battle royale. So I wouldn't necessarily. It's a bad thing. But I'm curious to see how they execute it because it all comes down to the execution, I think. And
Yeah,
343 is really going to have to pull through on that.
yeah. It's they are doing a lot to change the Halo recipe.
Hmm.
And I think that has, that obviously it has a lot of people nervous. I'm seeing more positive reactions to the grappling hook that they've talked about than I expected. And I think like the like the boost in Halo 5,
Hmm.
it's
Yep.
something that I didn't expect to enjoy, but now that I go back and I play Halo 4 cuz 5's not on MCC, if I go back and I play Halo 4, I miss
Hmm.
that boost. I didn't even realize how important that became to me, and I feel like the grappling hook's something that I look at and I'm like, that just does not look like I'm going to use it, and it'll become second nature. I I kind of count. I mean, some of the things that they make are hit or miss, but I kind of count on that. 343, the team over there, is good enough to build gameplay that's going to be convincing. I have no doubt about the gameplay being great. The graphics have been up and down, I think, but the most recent stuff we've been seeing was good.
Hmm.
Obviously, sound design is going to be great.
Oh
Multiplayer,
yeah.
I'm sure, is going to be fun. What I'm really worried about is the campaign. That's what I'm scared of. The story and the writing is really what worries me. I think that's what makes. I know multiplayer kind of drives gaming,
Hmm.
especially lately with Twitch becoming more popular and people creating communities where they can play with their friends and all this stuff. But like,
Hmm.
there are still the series that are legendary, and
Hmm.
most of the time they're legendary for the combination of story and gameplay. Things like God of War, or the original Bioshock or Mass Effect 2.
Hmm.
Um, so I I really hope they can pull that off this time.
I think so. I mean, we watched the release video of it, and the peek into the game at E3 and stuff, and it looks really cool. I mean, they're kind of taking an open world esque aspect to it. The grappling hook will add a lot of vertical gameplay where you can grapple up on stuff to get a better view of the battlefield, or you can take different objectives, different approaches for that, and I think it'll be really neat. But I am very, very curious to see how the campaign plays out.
Hmm.
And I'm curious if, hey, we might see returns of some, bad actors that we've seen in the past. I won't spoil it, but from us listening to the sound video that we watched,
Hmm.
they were making all the different sounds and stuff. Some of
Yeah.
those would lean, to a possibility of a certain bad
I
entity
don't,
possibly
dude, I
making a
don't know how
return.
they would do it.
You
I
know?
really don't. But if they could remake the experience of Halo CE when you first meet that mysterious
Ooh.
enemy, so I don't know
Oh,
how. I
yes.
feel like nothing could ever redo
Hmm.
that for me in gaming because now I expect it. I never expected that at the time that I played that game. I think the only other game that was doing stuff like that was like Half-Life, at least at that fidelity. And I think Half-Life was after that, right?
Yeah, and just talking about CE, I mean, right now, goosebumps. Remembering going back to when I played Combat Evolved, it was so well executed. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just gonna have to add maybe like some horror kind of aspect, maybe a jump scare
I
with it,
mean,
something. Oh,
dude,
but oof,
if
they can
if
do it.
if there's any messaging they've been sending so far with the way that they've been advertising this and giving us an insight into the development, it is that they are dipping back into the Halo CE fun bag to get the goods. And
Mm.
I really, really, really hope that's what's happening because I love Halo CE, but I also love some of the more modern developments in Halo. So to see them combined would be fantastic.
I agree.
I think it'd be cool if, with the game happening, MCC happening, maybe we could start to expect other genres of games. We're talking distant future, but I'm thinking, how cool would a Halo exploration action adventure game be? Or, or a Halo, I guess there's already an RTS, a Halo 4X game. I especially like the exploration idea. I like the idea of being maybe a Marine or an ODST or somebody who's dropped on a ring on accident or a planet or sang Helios for all we care. And it's kind of some survival elements to it. I think that'd be some really cool stuff. Halo's got a lot of lore.
It does, and I would absolutely love that. Star Wars Empire at War is a popular RTS. I would love to see a Halo RTS done in the same kind of way, where you're spawning in these massive ships, you're spawning in the Infinity, you're spawning in, all these different frigates and stuff, and you can learn more about the ships, and you can see how they act in battles. You can enact your big fleet battles that you've always wanted to know, Covenant versus, UNSC, or Covenant versus flood ships, and see how those things play out, these imaginary battles you might have in your mind. I'm a massive fan of RTSs, and I would definitely love to see an official publication of an RTS game done in
Well,
Halo style like that.
it's interesting that you mentioned spaceship RTSs because that's something it's something that I
Mhm.
wanted to talk about later, but I guess since you brought it up, um, I don't know. Have you heard about the game Falling Frontier?
I have not, no.
No. Okay. So
Mhm.
I've seen this here and there. I know, there's a couple people in our own community who are very excited for it. Anno, for one, I know he's probably watching this and he's like, "Yeah, that's me. I love that."
Oh yeah.
It looks amazing.
Mhm.
I've seen, I think, three different people make videos on it now. They're kind of doing that thing where they're feeling out. They're grabbing people from the sci-fi community.
Mhm.
People that we know that we might watch. A lot of people who might watch Star Wars stuff know Eckhart's Ladder, for instance. So
Oh yeah.
they're finding different people who are in that community. They're saying, "Hey, check this game out. Look at what we're doing. Maybe talk about it a little bit on your channel. Do a little preview." So they're doing really well with the marketing, and the graphics are incredible. I've never seen an RTS game look this good. It actually it reminds me of if you took the opening sequence for The Expanse and turned that into a game. That's
Hmm.
just it. That's the style it has, in my opinion, and I think it works really well. I think it looks really cool. It's a beautiful game. It looks like it's got a lot of depth to it, a lot of crunchy sci-fi bits. You know, you send out a probe to scan a system, and either yeah, you get that probe back and you get this information, or that probe doesn't come back and you never learn why. And so you have to make the decision to spare resources to go find that out. Then you know that kind of stuff. And I think that really scratches an itch for a lot of people. I think if I were going to make Star Citizen into an RTS, like the same sort of thought process, this looks like it would be it. So I've got my eye on that. And I think if you like RTSs, you like that style with spaceships, you want something like that, that might be something to look at.
Okay.
My little 30-second rant, my ad for that game. That was more than 30 seconds, but you know, whatever.
Absolutely. It is what it is.
But yeah, besides that, let's get back on topic. I
Hmm.
wanted to talk about Ubisoft.
Hmm.
Ubisoft is in the news quite a bit recently, not necessarily for the best reasons.
Hmm.
But how about we start off by talking about actually not necessarily Ubisoft, but something that's kind of related to Ubisoft, which is a Tom Clancy thing. They just released a new movie, right, with Michael B. Jordan.
Hmm.
And so we talked about this a little bit. And from what I've been hearing in terms of reviews and headline crawling, it wasn't necessarily like it was good because obviously Michael B. Jordan's a great actor.
Hmm.
And it's got a good franchise behind it, but it wasn't ultimately good enough to feel like it really brought new life back to the back to a rather loved series. But you saw it and you thought differently. What did you think?
I mean, yeah. So I'm a massive fan of Tom Clancy. When I was in middle school and high school, I read The Hunt for Red October, Cardinal of the Kremlin. I read the entire series of Tom Clancy, and getting into Rainbow Six. I'm trying to think of the other Tom Clancy games I've played as well. They had an old one on the original Xbox. It was like Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter. I've played the
Yeah.
video games. I've read the books. I'm a huge Tom Clancy fan. I
Okay.
was sad that he passed away before I could meet him, but the Rainbow Six Siege is a phenomenal game. We're now getting to see that, translated to movie. So this first movie is essentially going to be it's the first part of a two-part series where we saw this movie. The next one will then be named Rainbow Six, be an introduction into this international NATO team of special operators. I'm curious to see what angle they take, but
Hmm.
when I watched the movie, I watched it as somebody who's been completely immersed in Tom Clancy everything. I really enjoyed the movie. It was an action movie, a lot of shooting, a lot of twists and turns and betrayals and backstabbings and people that you didn't think you could trust, you could actually trust, and at the end you find them stepping up to the bat, being awesome. And I thought it was a great movie. Apparently, I googled it, and other people did not see it as that. So, as a diehard Tom Clancy fan, I think the movie was awesome. The
Yeah, as
actors
long as
that
you
they
like it.
chose, Michael B. Jordan, awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
Killmonger, dude. I mean, he's badass.
Hmm.
He filled the role spectacularly. I loved it. I guess other people didn't. Maybe I'm just unpopular opinion over here.
It's no matter if as
Hmm.
long as you liked it, man. And I honestly I didn't know
Yeah.
about the Rainbow Six angle, so that's really interesting. They're gonna take this series that honestly people have loved in gaming for like 2 decades now. I want to say, and while I haven't played Siege, I played a lot of Rainbow Six Vegas.
Oh yeah.
And Rainbow Six Vegas 2, which I always thought was a funny
Hmm.
name because it was six and then two, and I don't know, that was weird.
Hmm.
So I loved not only Tom Clancy games growing up. Isn't Splinter Cell Tom Clancy?
Yes, Splinter
Yeah,
Cell is also
Splinter
Tom
Cell is
Clancy.
like one
Hmm.
of my favorite games of all time. So and then Advanced Warfighter, like you mentioned, there's a lot of Tom Clancy games I love. So I'm a huge fan of hearing that Rainbow Six might be coming to film. I really hope they do it justice. I hope it's
Hmm.
not just an action. Honestly, I think Rainbow Six would be a great chance to do more kind of a drama series. Maybe like a Band of Brother kind of series, but show how it being international and NATO based changes things. I don't know, but that's really cool. I am happy to hear that. I'm happy to know that,
Hmm.
and I hope the movie did well enough that they can pour some money into the next one.
I hope so too. I'd love to see the follow up to it, and I almost believe they've committed to it. But yeah, very excited, really excited to see how the Tom Clancy genre and the Rainbow Six genre moves forward.
Um, Ubisoft now switching over back to Ubisoft mode. Ubisoft has a new game coming soon. People might not have heard about yet. It is very under the radar, called Rainbow Six. Or sorry, no, it's called The Division Heartland. So this is, from what I've heard, honestly kind of like The Division, just online. So in their statement when they released this, I believe you read this too, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, they said something along the lines of, "Hey, we've noticed that huge, flashy AAA games like aren't making us that much money, and free to play games that allow you to monetize stuff are gonna make us more money. So we're just gonna do that instead. So here's the Division free mode, and it basically it looks like they took the Division, added some healing mechanics, and then uh, put it in on the in a different area. At least from what I've seen, from what I've heard. I haven't gotten to play the game or anything like that.
Hmm.
But it definitely, I don't know. We'll see. And I'm excited for it, honestly, because I was excited for the Division before it kind of pivoted in tone. But
Hmm.
I really do want like a good sci-fi open world survival shooter sort of thing. So that sounds like fun.
Absolutely.
Have you heard
I
anything about
played.
that?
I haven't heard anything about Heartland, but I played The Division when it released. I
Mm-hmm.
actually pre-ordered. Um, Now, no longer pre-order games, but I pre-ordered The Division, loved it, loved it. I still play it today occasionally with some friends. The Division 2, I played the beta, and I was like, is this even in the Division series? Like, it was not anything like the Division. Division 2, I did not enjoy. Didn't end up buying it. I think I got it for free, maybe.
Mm.
I'm honestly not even wanting to play it after playing the beta and just seeing the core game mechanics and things that, will definitely carry through from a beta into the actual game. Didn't enjoy it at all, and my friends, for the most part, share the same opinion. So I wasn't happy with it. My, thought on the Division right now is just, rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the free to play game will be fun. I mean, if it doesn't cost me anything, I'll try it.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah. The Ubisoft and it honestly hasn't really been impressing me that much with their games lately.
Hmm.
Assassin's Creed, I think, could be doing better.
Hmm.
I think I really do like the direction they're going in with it, but I think there's more they could be doing with it. I think there's more potential for that. I want to see what they do. Maybe like take a couple years off, come back with something a little fresh. But then Watch Dogs also hasn't really been piquing my interest that much. Besides that first reveal of the first game, and then obviously I don't play Rainbow Six Siege. I know it's very popular. I know people like it, but
Hmm.
not really my style game.
I
Um,
got you.
in in other news, Ubisoft, they've been having some trouble with I believe workplace allegations. I do not remember what exactly the allegations are, but they had I think a review or an investigation, and were given suggestions and are doing like the minimal amount. This is, I have not read that detailed into it, but this is some of what I've heard of the situation. They're doing like a very minimal amount to change some of the problems, and people have been getting feisty on the internet about that. So stuff's rough for Ubisoft, but it's E3 season, and
Hmm.
I'm expecting that they're gonna have something to show. So maybe they'll flip the tone in their court. Another
Hmm.
heavyweight hitter though. Let's talk about Bethesda.
Okay.
So, have you ever, are you a big Bethesda games fan?
Not Bethesda specifically. My introduction to Bethesda was actually Skyrim. Um, you know, I had played other, Skyrim, fitting in that, whole world of games. I
Yeah.
played other ones. Skyrim was cool. I enjoyed it. Never really played Fallout, so wasn't into that. But I played Skyrim.
Hmm.
As far as that, I don't really play any
So
other
you were into the
Bethesda
fantasy one
games.
more than the sci-fi game that they had.
Actually, surprisingly, yes. The Fallout never really appealed to me.
Hmm. Yeah, I actually I'm the same. I wasn't a huge Fallout fan. I loved Oblivion,
Hmm.
and because of that, I went and I played a little bit of Morrowind. Wasn't as big a fan of it. I guess I'm one of those console plebs that ruined Elder Scrolls, but I liked Oblivion, and that drew me into Skyrim, which I played the crap out of.
Hmm.
And then that had me playing Fallout 4 for a little bit, but really I only enjoyed like two of Bethesda's games. I do like Dishonored, but that's by Arcane. Bethesda's more
Hmm.
the publisher there. Um, but yeah, they're kind of they've been missing some flair in my opinion. So
Absolutely. Well, I mean,
in
it's taken them
steps,
forever to put the next, Skyrim game out, so
yeah,
everybody's like, "Oh, we're
yeah,
waiting."
yeah. I wonder where it's gonna be. I think fans have already figured out where in Tamriel it's gonna be based.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's gonna be a good game. I will get that. I'm not much of a fantasy player, but I will probably definitely ultimately yes, absolutely get the next Elder Scrolls game. Those games
Uh-huh.
are fun.
Oh yeah.
But we're here to talk about their new game, Starfield.
Hmm. I know
And
nothing about it.
yeah, yeah, I was actually quite surprised because you're big on sci-fi games, right? And you said you'd never heard of Starfield until
No.
up till when?
Till when you told me, so that would have been a couple days ago. You told me, "Hey, have you heard of this game Starfield?" I was like, "No," and you're like, "Hey, check this out." I had never heard of it. It had completely fallen under my radar. So,
Dude, I honestly I really hope there are some games out there like that for me. I
hmm.
want to I want to find a game either close to or after it has already released that I can get super hyped for because I'm so sick of waiting for games. I'm so tired of finding out about games years before they come out. Seriously.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't even been waiting the longest. I've been waiting for Starfield for just a couple years.
Hmm.
Some people have been clawing at their eyes for any information. So we have not gotten really any information about this game other than a quick teaser trailer back in 2018, I want to say. Might have been 19.
Hmm.
Might have been 19. I think it was 19. And not only was it like a 1 minute trailer that showed us practically nothing, it was also sandwiched, or rather piled on top of, right after by a trailer for Elder Scrolls 6. So nobody cared about Starfield. Like they were like the music, the chanting, the grass, the mountains, Elder Scrolls, and nobody is like nobody cares about space. Sorry, I'm breaking my chair over here. Um, so, and I am getting a new chair. Don't worry.
Hmm.
So yeah, it. We don't really know much. All we know is that it's a sci-fi RPG. We don't actually know if it's an RPG. We know it's sci-fi. We know it's first person. We don't know if it's first person either. We know it's sci-fi.
Hmm.
That's about it. We know
That's it.
it's there's been a few leaks, and we
Hmm.
do know that there's spaceships involved. There's moons. There's a watch. I don't know, but besides that, there's
Hmm.
not much to know. But like, let's just say it's going to be a sci-fi RPG. What are some things you'd like to see in a game like that?
Um, Hopefully they do better than CD Projekt Red did with their RPG that didn't end up becoming as much of an RPG as we hoped.
Right. Yeah.
I choices, actions that are special, that have more of an impact than 5 minutes later kind of stuff. I know that requires a lot of work. However, I'm okay with that if they need to take time to make an RPG that's very fleshed out, where my choices impact, things that happen, my decisions, impact my gameplay. I would really, really like that. I'd really like to see a return to the roots of an RPG game,
Hmm.
and I really hope they do that with Starfield now that I've been educated by you on it a bit more. But I think that's the core element of an RPG game is that you have choices. You have dialogue options that actually have an impact on how things go, you know?
Yeah. And the history of Bethesda, while not all their games that did it, the history of Bethesda comes from games that very much focus on that. They didn't make Fallout Vegas, but it's part of that series, and so obviously they're going to
Mhm.
pull a lot of inspiration from that. They're going to pull a lot of their game design and ideas from that. And you played a lot of Skyrim, right? So
Oh yeah.
you have an idea of what to expect from Bethesda. Um, Now, obviously, like you said, they could drop the ball like CD Projekt Red, uh, but I think you know I'll just say I'm excited for it. I
Absolutely,
definitely
I
am.
am too now.
That's having some like lasting um, impacts like that is just it's a great part of games that you couldn't really do before because they weren't
I
smart
agree.
enough. You ever play Outer
No,
Worlds?
nope, never played Outer Worlds.
Oh, that's it. It's worth trying. You can make decisions like that.
Hmm, okay.
It's not the same style. Also, probably not the same budget. I don't think it's gonna be going for the same tone. Outer Worlds
Hmm.
is much more. I don't want to say satirical, but it's very humorous in its presentation a lot of the time.
Hmm.
I guess kind of like Fallout. So yeah, that might be a game worth trying out, but it's definitely going to be different from Starfield. I
Okay.
think that will be an interesting game for Star Citizen players, though. Like, I think that's going to be the most interesting AAA RPG you're going to find for players that are interested in a game like Star Citizen.
Absolutely, I think so too.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Was there anything you wanted to say about Bethesda?
Nope, not
I
about
just ranted
Bethesda.
about Starfield.
Yeah, no, Starfield I'm very excited for. Hopefully with Starfield coming out at some point I'll get to know more about Bethesda only playing one of their games. I
Hmm.
can really only speak on from, playing Skyrim to really have any cue of what they're like as a company. I know they tend to stretch out their development. They tend to push out, DLCs pretty aggressively. We'll see. I'm definitely excited for Starfield. It'll definitely be a gap filler when I'm bored with the recent patch of Star Citizen and I want to do something else.
Hmm.
But enjoy sci-fi at the same time.
I've talked a lot about the games that I like, whether here or on the stream or on YouTube. Um, what 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 is like a developer that you follow very closely, or is there one? Like, do you follow developers specifically? Do you just go for a type of game more?
Dice. I mean, I would
Yeah,
say I follow Dice.
you're a Battlefield
I'm a big
Battlefield player.
Battlefield
Yeah,
guy.
okay.
I had two choices to play either Call of Duty or Battlefield. It'd be Battlefield all the time. I do follow Dice. I try and keep up with them. As far as that goes, I really don't. You know, that's it really, just Dice.
So who's your Battlefield YouTuber?
I don't have a Battlefield YouTuber actually. The YouTuber that I used to watch, I don't actually remember his name anymore. He actually just covered a bunch of shooters. He really got into Arma. Have you heard of Operator Drewski by chance?
No.
No,
Mm-mm.
okay. Operator Drewski covers a lot of shooters like Squad, most recent. I mean, he might do Call of Duty. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
But Battlefield Squad, Arma 3, the more mil sim, more simulation, kind of closer to real life variants of military games. Yeah, Operator Drewski is definitely the one that I used to follow quite a bit. I think I'm still subscribed to him. Haven't
Okay.
watched his videos in a while, but
Huh. Well, um, if you're looking for somebody to watch for Battlefield content, I definitely suggest Jack Frags. I know he's very popular. His channel is massive, but he posts a lot of gameplay because
mhm.
essentially he posts information videos, but he just essentially is playing the game and he just talks over it. So you get a lot of decent Battlefield gameplay. You get some cool opinions, and yeah, he's got an accent, so it's fun to listen to.
Awesome.
But yeah, I don't know. Have you heard anything about Battlefield 6? I assume it's going to be. I've been seeing whispers and murmurs, headlines here and there, but I
Mhm.
haven't really been reading.
We really don't know too much in all honesty. We do know it'll be set in the near future, so
Hmm.
they're wanting to take cues from Battlefield 3, which was a kick ass game in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Loved it. Battlefield 4, not so much, but it did take cues from Battlefield 3. But
Mm-hmm.
apparently, it's a return to the roots, like, it's a near future kind of game. It'll have, I believe, you'll have like four classes to pick from, like you did in Battlefield 3, but you will have like a perk system, they were saying, similar to Call of Duty,
Hmm.
from leaks. Now, these are only leaks,
Okay.
bear in mind. Other than that, we only barely know a little bit more about Battlefield 6 than we do Starfield, to give you a good correlation.
Yeah.
So we really don't know that much, and most of
Yeah.
it's been through leaks.
I was under the impression that we just hadn't heard a single thing about Battlefield 6, but I was wondering what all those headlines were about.
Mhm.
You had said something that it was going to near future. You had said that Battlefield 4 had taken cues from Battlefield 3. I don't actually. So I played both those games quite a bit. I don't actually remember what the difference between the two is because
Battle.
they were both same time period, right? They were both like near future, as far as I
Yeah,
am aware.
a little bit. Battlefield 3 definitely it was near future, very pure versus pure, kind of style. Battlefield 4 was a little bit more on the futuristic edge, and I think that was combined with, new design processes and graphics and things like that.
Hmm.
Battlefield 4 was just the continuation of the Battlefield franchise, so to say.
Right. That's what. Yeah.
I think that was the main thing. They were extremely similar. They did change a good handful of things around, which some people did like, some people didn't like. But I would say for the
Sounds like you
most part,
didn't like.
no, Battlefield 3 was awesome. But I
Okay.
think that does feed into the nostalgia.
Hmm.
Battlefield 3 was something I still played at the very end of, high school, and or while I was in high school. So maybe that's just nostalgia talking.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on quickly to Epic. Always,
Oh.
always at the forefront of gaming drama.
Hmm.
Literally, basically ever since they released Fortnite's Battle Royale mode, they have never not been in the news for one thing or another. So now they're in the news for something I won't say new because we've been dealing with it for like what 6 to 12 months now, but something that's really been heating up lately: the Epic versus Apple case, which is a big deal, big topic in the industry. Why don't you tell us a little about what's going on there? Because I actually don't know too much other than that it's about the App Store and the amount of money charged to developers who publish to the App Store and whatnot. So give me the
Absolutely.
rundown, the Drazen summary.
Absolutely. Well, you know, in very short summary, it is the outcome of this is going to have ripple effects throughout the entire gaming industry. You don't have to play Fortnite or do the dances to see the effects, and we will see it depending on this outcome, especially if it goes in Epic's favor. In short, Epic selfishly wanted to use the App Store, the Apple, their App Store, and not pay the agreed upon fee. Any company that makes over $1 million in revenue has to pay, I believe it's 30%. Any company that's under 1 million in revenue, in 2021 they initiated it, only has to pay 15% of any App Store things that they charge for the game. Essentially, Epic is saying that Apple has a monopoly on their own storefront. Hmm. So Epic should be allowed to use it for free however they want, in a roundabout way. If Epic wins this case and establishes that an Apple has a monopoly, then so does Microsoft. Microsoft only allows their own products to be sold on their own storefront. They can be sued with precedent to this case, along with so many other tech companies.
Every company with a storefront.
Yes, and actually, we're already seeing the effects of this even before the case is being settled. Sony is already being sued for their monopoly over the PlayStation Store as we speak. If
So
Epic wins, that lawsuit will come back in full force for Sony. And the Sony case was actually brought up, of course, due to this whole Epic v. Apple thing.
so would we likely see stores just cough up the extra money to I guess that's the only way it's going to be if they win, because it's not like these companies are just going to close down their stores and literally sell just their products, right? That's not sustainable.
Well, I mean, it's kind of argued if it is or isn't. During this lawsuit, it was brought up that Sony and Microsoft actually sell their consoles at a loss,
Yeah.
and the way they recoup the money is through their store.
Hmm.
If they now no longer have a monopoly on their own store, they could be attritioning a lot of money. The money that they could have made otherwise.
Right.
I think we will see a big shift. I don't know what that would be like. And this kind of goes back to, Epic during this whole thing said that, their game Fortnite, they use this as an example. It's not a game. It's not classified as a game to them. It's an experience, whatever that means. Due to it being a multiverse, right? You can go to concerts. They have movie theaters in Fortnite. I don't know. It's
I
kind of
see.
crazy.
Yes, yes, right. Ready Player
But
One, of course.
yeah, but here's the thing. You cannot be a company that benefits from exclusivity, which Epic is absolutely doing already right now, and complain about monopoly. They're the exact same. Epic is no different than Apple. That's why it's so
Well, but you
ridiculous.
could be
And
exclusive and not support monopolies, right?
no, exclusivity is a monopoly.
Not if
It just
if it's just your exclusives.
Well, yes, but that's the thing. It wouldn't be exclusive if it wasn't only Epic stuff. It's exclusive because it's only Epic products. It loses its exclusivity if it's now Microsoft and Sony. However, they don't want to do that. So essentially, they're wanting to take bites of other people's pies without having to do anything themselves, which is really infuriating.
Does Epic charge a
From
fee for people to host stuff on their storefront?
they don't have You can't host stuff on their storefront. Period. If
Well,
they did, they would
the
probably
Epic
have a
the Epic Game Store, doesn't that have third-party games on it?
No, it doesn't. They buy games at wholesale price. I
Ah,
believe
so
they
they like
bought
buy the rights to publish to distribute the games.
they bought For Honor, I believe, for a couple $100. The rights to For Honor for a couple $100. They added 3 million users to the Epic franchise from buying For Honor for a couple $100. It's crazy. They buy these games for wholesale price, and then they make money hand over fist. So they have exclusivity. They're essentially, it's like pot calling the kettle black. If you've ever heard that term, it's
Hmm.
essentially what they're doing here.
I don't
And
I don't know. I don't. So they buy games, and then they host them in their store,
for free in most cases, yeah.
right? And nobody and okay, and nobody
Hmm.
else has access to them.
Yep, nobody else has access. It's exclusivity.
That's something I'll have to think about.
Hmm.
It's interesting.
Absolutely.
It's a
But
complicated situation.
this is not small guy versus big guy. This
Oh
is
no.
big. This is big awful company versus big awful
I mean,
company.
yeah, like,
You know,
no matter who wins, we most likely will not.
No, the consumer is the loser in this.
Yeah.
If Epic wins, is the worst case scenario. If Epic wins, Microsoft's going to get screwed, Sony's going to get screwed. That will be the worst case scenario. The best case scenario, which is also kind of bad, is if Apple wins. They still get to keep their, whole 30% charge on their store, but guess what? It is what it is. I mean, what are you going to do? Just not have your game on iPhones? Then I guess that is what it is.
Yeah, so I mean,
Um,
I don't. Their two exclusivities aren't the same, right? Apple just wants to charge a higher fee.
So Apple says we have an exclusive app store, but if you want your game on it, we want to make money off of it, essentially giving
That's the
you
same
access
exact
to
thing. Like you said, that's the same exact thing Epic is doing, right? They're buying games.
No,
So,
no, yeah, they're buying games out, meaning they buy the rights to the game.
yeah, so
Meaning
they're
the
saying.
publisher makes a couple $100.
So
They
Apple
could
is
make
saying.
millions.
Apple is saying, you give us money, and we'll publish your game. Epic is saying, you give us your game, and we'll publish your game. They're both. It sounds like what you're saying is they're both asking for something to publish a game.
No, so Apple, the App Store, it's you're buying the ability. You can be on the App Store, right? Maybe you buy to be on the App Store. I'm not entirely sure how this works. I think you can just post your app on the App Store for free, but then they charge any microtransaction you do for the game, or if the game is you sell it, they charge 30%. Meaning you can
Right?
put it
Yeah.
on there for free. If you make money, they take 30%.
Right.
Whereas Epic goes to Bethesda and says, "Hey, we want to buy Skyrim from you." they said, okay, well, but you can buy Skyrim for $5. They say, okay, thank you very much. Now, Bethesda does not benefit from Skyrim anymore because it's no longer their intellectual
Yeah,
property.
no.
Epic
I'm
is
not.
buying the intellectual property.
Yeah,
Apple's not buying anything. They're just
I
allowing
get
people
that.
to,
I'm just
yeah.
saying, in Apple's case, it's better. But that being said, they're still technically doing the same thing that Apple is doing. Yet they're trying to sue Apple for doing it.
Yes, exactly. Epic is
It's
essentially doing what Apple is doing, and they're suing them for the same reason.
it's
Exactly. Yep.
it's weird.
Yeah, it's
Well,
bullshit. But
Unreal Engine
you know,
guys, right?
right?
Okay. Well, let's get into general games. We're running pretty long here, but if anybody's still here, then I'm sure they don't mind us continuing to go. What are you playing, man? What kind of games are you running in the computer in your CD-ROM drive? Nobody uses that anymore.
Just nobody uses that
No.
floppy disk, right? Just Halo. Just been playing that with you, sometimes with other friends, other times. I hop back into Cyberpunk just to check in. Newsflash, nothing's changed in the past 6 months. Still a broken mess. I'm just really waiting until Infinite and the new Battlefield game comes out at the end of the year. That's really it for me. Really nothing to report on that front. It's been boring. What about
Not
you?
you're not into not excited for E3?
I'm excited for E3. I'm excited to hear the news about the games that I'm waiting for, which
Okay.
is Infinite and Battlefield, maybe Starfield now.
I'm not really playing anything except Star Citizen takes all my time. Just
I agree.
freaking streaming or filming. What I would like to be doing if I was playing other games, I kind of want to play back through The Witcher 3. I've been having an urge to do that lately. Also been missing Civ, been missing Halo. Want to play Titanfall 2. I want to play Apex Legends. What else is there? I want to play Splinter Cell again, but that's just because every year when we get back near E3 time, I always get stupidly hyped. Just very irresponsible of me. I always get excited for the possibility they might show a new Splinter Cell, and then they never do, or maybe they show him in some stupid, idiotic, animated, weird heroes of the Ubisoft thing. I don't know. They did some stupid thing with him. They did our Sam Fisher wrong last year, and it really burned me. So, yeah, I'm mostly just long answer short. I'm not playing anything else.
I got you.
Yeah, but man, we've been loving Halo so much lately. The
Oh
new
yeah.
game types they put in there have been a lot of fun. For anybody who hasn't played, they're doing like a rotating fun game type mode lately, and one of those game types is a game that's a lot like gun game from Call of Duty back in the day, where you every time you get a kill with a gun, it switches to the next one. You have to work your way up the ladder. Lots of fun.
Oh yeah.
Uno gameplay. That's very good. I also want to play Mass Effect actually. Have you ever played that series?
Never.
You've never. Holy, whoa! Yeah, that's right. You told me that because you got the ending spoiled. You got something spoiled for you, right?
I had the whole lore and story and endings
Just
for both
everything.
Mass Effect and BioShock Infinite because I
Oh,
like
that's
yeah. So
and the original BioShock, right?
and the original BioShock as well. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yep. So it's like,
Why? How? How does that happen? What
just
happened?
tell
Did
me about
somebody
this game.
hold you down
No.
and torture you? Were you captured in some random country and held against your will? This is what they did?
Absolutely, man. That's middle school and high school, right? No, yeah, I don't know, man. It was crazy. Just talking about a game that all of a sudden I'm hearing the endings of everything, and
Uh,
well, okay, well,
okay, how long was this period of time that they told you? Because, like, you gotta have a lot of time. If they only told you, if you only got, like, let's say 10 minutes to tell you every spoiler about those 3 games, then you're good. Then you really
it
haven't heard
was
much.
pretty extensive. It was why do I like Halo lore, and I laid out my thing and told them the spoilers of everything and how it progressed, and then they essentially did the same thing for why they liked BioShock as much as I liked Halo, and why they liked Mass Effect as much as I like Halo. And
Dude, that's
yeah,
so
so just
disappointing. Okay. Well, you should still play the remastered Mass Effects that just came out. In fact, In fact, you must do that. I am
I must. Oh,
as the
oh.
lone mod, I am assigning that. That is your one mod duty.
Mm,
You don't have to do anything. I think we timed out the first person in like 6 months the other day on the
yeah.
stream.
Yep.
That was the first time I've ever timed someone out. I think you've maybe done it once or twice. We've been doing this for like
Mhm.
10 months, dude.
Yeah.
You got homework. All right.
I
You
got
go
homework.
and you get Mass Effect and you start playing that game.
Oh.
And I want to hear it. I want to hear what you think because that game, the first one's a little tough gameplay wise because it's kind of old. But the
Mhm.
second and third games, ooh, chef's kiss. Ah,
Mhm.
they're good. They're good. Um, so Outriders is another game. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
heard of that.
Oh, I have.
Yeah. Okay. So
Mhm.
to me, that looks kind of like a sort of a mix between Gears of War and Doom and Bulletstorm. Um, and it looks like a lot of fun. And I honestly thought it was going to be like a flash in the pan, but apparently, Square Enix is saying actually literally just today, like a few hours ago, they said that they have 3.5 million players in the
Mhm.
first month. So they're like, you know what, people like this. They were planning on just kind of making it,
Mhm.
a game that's fun, that's good. It gets a lot of money. It funds something else. But now they're saying we're going to turn this into a franchise. They're going to move forward with it. Have you played it?
No, and I haven't played it for a couple reasons. My first problem is they have a kernel level anti-cheat, which isn't bad. I mean, if you play any Epic games, they have their own kernel level anti-cheat. Forgot what it's exactly called. However, the good thing is the anti-cheat's made here in the US by a reputable company. The issue that I have with the kernel level anti-cheat for Outriders is the anti-cheat company has ties with the Chinese Communist Party. Now, it is not necessarily the best thing to give kernel level access, which is the deepest access you can give somebody to your computer, to a company that may use that information for whatever they'd like to. So I was like, no thanks. Actually, Valorant, which is another decently popular game, had a anti-cheat from a this same company, I believe, or a company based in China. Players were like, we're not going to play your game if you don't get rid of this. So they switched to a different anti-cheat just because of that factor alone. Two other things I don't really like is that it's an always online, meaning you have to have
Yeah.
server stability and things like that, which is in this day and age is silly. You don't have those anymore. It's ridiculous. And apparently the game isn't fun to play if you don't have any friends. It's kind of a drag to play by yourself.
It's a really
So
dumb model for a game.
exactly.
Always
Hmm.
online campaigns are so freaking
Hmm.
annoying. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, that's kind of just a way to make a crappy campaign, you know? Hey,
Exactly.
here's your crutch. Invite some friends.
Right.
Um, it's funny that you say it's a reputable company, but like they have ties to a possibly aggressive foreign communist government. Just like
Right.
a little sketchy, a little
Yeah,
bit.
just a little sketch.
Okay, well, those are interesting reasons. I just haven't played because I haven't had the time. I downloaded the beta. I think it's still on my computer, but I just haven't played it. There are a lot of games, man. I just want to play. We got to start playing those on stream someday.
Mhm.
Um, okay, what's another game that came out recently that uh I know nothing about? I don't know if you do. Resident Evil. Have you heard?
Resident Evil Village,
Yeah,
absolutely. Hmm.
I am a scary game guy. I love scary games. I don't like playing them. If that
Hmm.
if that makes any sense. They're like movies, right? So I love watching
Hmm.
a scary movie, but Jesus, if you told me I had to control the character in the scary movie, I'd tell you to just not shoot the movie because that just doesn't work.
Hmm.
What about you? Do you play scary games? You playing Resident Evil?
The most scary game I played was, Halo Combat Evolved when we
Oh
saw
my
that
gosh.
that
You
bad. That
played
was,
that?
yeah, oh yeah. I mean,
Terrifying.
terrifying, but I feel like it's a game and it had that terrifying bit, which was a phenomenal entrance to this now very common enemy in the Halo universe.
Yeah.
They did that very well. It was a little, scary part, which was
Yeah.
awesome. I don't typically play scary games. I never played. There was the one Aliens game that was you're on a space station trying to escape.
Isolation.
Isolation,
Oh
never
my
played that.
god. Oh my
I believe
god.
Aliens Fire Team's coming out. I don't know if that's a horror. I think it's just a co-op
I think
Aliens
it'll be a
game.
little creepy. A little
It
bit.
might be creepy. I mean, it has to be, but I really don't play scary games. Resident Evil Village isn't. I guess it's not extremely scary, like not a ton of jump
I
scares.
mean,
But if
it's
you like,
like the most well-known horror series of games.
yeah, I think they really hit it off because they have a like 11-foot tall woman that is very, well endowed in the chest area, and apparently guys like that. For
That's
whatever
very
reason,
scary.
seems to be the thing with massive claws. I guess it's scary, but the gameplay footage I've seen, I'm not getting scared over it,
I never
but
get scared from the gameplay. I get scared from playing it, you know?
playing it.
It's
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
It's different. That's why it's not a
yeah.
movie. Um okay. This is a fun one. There's a new game studio coming out. This is a quick footnote. Uh Twin Suns, started by a Halo developer, joined by a Hitman developer, Tomb Raider developers, Mass Effect developers, and 15 others, have gotten together to start a game with a new studio. It's a new IP. It's going to be a big budget, multi platform game. This is going to be a big deal game. This is the first we're hearing about it. It's the last couple weeks. I don't think it's going to turn into anything for probably a year, maybe 2 years. They're probably not going to say anything about it. But I'm thinking we come back to this in like 2 years. They'll probably be working on something pretty cool for next generation consoles and graphics cards. I would like to say that we're buying in 2 years, but we'll probably be buying this year's in 2 years. So we'll probably
Hmm.
still be out of stock.
When you say a Halo dev, are you
hmm
saying Bungie or are you saying 343?
I think I, I think Bungie.
Okay.
I think he might have stayed. I think he might have been Bungie stayed to 343.
Okay.
Um, would have been more likely if he was 343 because that was like his big title. And like if he had
hmm
left Bungie 10 years ago, I'm sure he would have been doing something more relevant by now. So,
hmm
um, yeah, I'm guessing he was 343, maybe Bungie, but definitely here recently. Yeah, but they've got some good stuff behind them. That also reminds me of the other company. What was their name? The Foundation Studio. They're making the new Perfect Dark Zero game. Super pumped for that. That was an awesome game. It was a launch title for the Xbox 360, and to see a company with the pedigree that this one has, they have a lot of talent there making that game. Did you ever play Perfect Dark?
Nope.
Hear about it?
Nope.
It was like, imagine a more action Splinter Cell.
hmm
I think you were like a special agent, um, with a sniper. No, it's a really cool game, and I think it's gonna be a good addition to the sci-fi catalog. So we'll just slip it in
Awesome.
here, wait for it to come later.
Hell yeah.
But that I think wraps it up. We went actually quite long, 12 minutes past the hour today. But episode one, we're learning. We're learning a lot here, and we're gonna keep improving. We're gonna keep ratcheting this down and make sure it works exactly how I want it to. And like I said, sometimes Drazen will be in here. Sometimes we'll bring other guests, whether that be from the Star Citizen community, from the gaming community, from the sci-fi community. Just more people to bring in so we could talk about these topics, share some more information, learn stuff together, just to have a good chat and all that jazz. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you are already on the channel. And while you're there, you can also check out the clips that we'll be uploading, whether it's different segments from here with, some B-roll over it or what. Just little bite-sized pieces of what we're already talking about here. And if you're listening to this, whether that be on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Google Podcasts or wherever, thank you so much for listening in. That actually means a ton because I've never put anything audio out there that has my own voice. And it means a lot. And I'm sure Drazen is also. Oh, Drazen, you used to do podcasting, right? So
I
you're
did.
you're
Yeah,
all
in
used to it.
college.
Yeah, this guy's
hmm
he's a master over here. I'm gonna have him edit all of this stuff. But yeah, thank you everybody who decided to attend to this. Drazen, thank you so much for being a part-time guest and for coming on for this first episode, helping me introduce the show. Anybody who's watching this on YouTube, again, please comment down below. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, how we can improve, and what you'd like to see stay the same. And once again, thank you so much for your support and for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. And this is where a custom outro would be if we had one, but this is no outro. So do 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 do. It's the outro song. All right.
Oh man.
Bye, everybody.